Welcome to Lit Soc, everybody. It's Thursday afternoon and we are halfway through November almost. By the way, there isn't one next week in case we get lost on our pilgrimage and we don't return. It's Chaucer afternoon today. We are going to be hosted by our host, Hannah. We have a guest from the past. Marianne, nice of you to come. Thank you. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, Mary.
Hey. And Mr. Sebastian, as one of our resident Chaucer experts, has kindly agreed to come on the pilgrimage. So I'm going to hand it over to Hannah, and this will become what this is later. And thank you for
Can you pass my tea?
You want your tea?
Sorry. Thanks.
There we go.
Thank you. You need to be field prep of them.
And thank you
course.
for making the buns.
Study our
Hello.
tabloid in.
So thank you everyone for coming. Today's Litsoc is on Chaucer. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to give a bit of a context overview so we have an idea what we're talking about, and then we're going to go into detail of the Canterbury tales, and we're going to look at language, and we're going to look at a few examples of tales, and we're going to be moving around the library, which is why everyone's wrapped up warm, because you don't want to get cold on a pilgrimage, and why everyone's had snacks and mead and tea. As it says, drink responsibly. So, okay, I'm just going to give you a bit of a context. Hands up who's heard of Chaucer before? Okay. Cool. So, a few people, and a few people lying. So, he was born in the 1340s. His family was pretty well off. In the past few generations of his family, there'd been a lot of social mobility, so they'd got higher up the social scale, and Chaucer himself became a very important man in terms of government and, royal authority and power. So yeah, he was like a page of a noblewoman, and then he did all these sorts of things which brought him right into the court circle. This is going to make you feel unproductive. And think about it, people didn't live very long back then, and he did all these things. Okay. So he was in the 100 Years' War, he got captured, he got married, he had 3 or 4 children. His great-grandson, for anyone who does history, was John to the Pole. I know. Josie is so shocked. But, so yeah, there weren't that many people back then, so they were all, related and whatever. I think. I don't know. He also...
Yeah.
He also studied law. How is he doing all this? I was so surprised when I was reading his Wikipedia page. I was like, oh, wow. You know? And it took them so long to get places as well back then, so I don't know. Anyway, so he travelled a lot, and we're not really sure where, surprise, but he probably met important poets of the day, probably Petrarch, who could introduce him to medieval Latin poetry. I'm saying probably because, not because it's from Wikipedia, but because nobody actually knows. There's so much about his life that's a mystery. We know that he was very high up in court and involved in international affairs, negotiating treaties, things like that. But that's sort of all we know. There's a lot that's sketchy and debatable, which is really interesting, I think. He was also an MP at one point. Okay, and this is my favourite fact, before the context ends, that Edward III granted him a gallon of wine every day for the rest of his life. So I don't think you can get much better rewards than that.
Is it for?
It's not clear. Maybe for writing, maybe for something else. I don't know what you could do to earn something like that.
Real question
That's
is
cool.
what kind of wine?
Well,
Probably disgusting.
Bordeaux or something like that. The trouble is that it wasn't money. He was always complaining he didn't have enough money.
Chaucer.
We could always sell
Because Edward he could, yes, obviously. Edward III didn't have any money either. He kept borrowing off the Italians and going bankrupt, bankrupting the Italians actually. So.
Yeah, he got in trouble for defying the statute of labourers, like you were saying. A bit sketchy, he probably wanted money. And he might have seen the peasants' revolt from his window, but he might not have, surprise. And then what's even more surprising is that he died of unknown causes, so we don't actually know.
That's
So,
mad.
yeah.
It disappears.
Yeah, although there's some speculation that it was on the orders of Henry IV, who just become king.
His Archbishop of Canterbury rather than Henry.
Yeah, so I don't know, whether you guys think that or not.
Like him?
Well, he'd just become king, and he'd been quite close to Richard II, so...
Henry IV appointed an archbishop. It was a bit like the Taliban arriving.
Oh, okay, lovely.
In the Shakespeare play, there's all these heads rolling across the floor at the end of Richard II when Henry IV becomes king. So it's that kind of vibe. But I don't know. I feel like it's it's just a good story. Like, we don't know if it's true. I'm a bit sceptical about that one. And he also, as well as doing all those jobs, he was writing the whole time. He wrote loads of things, not just the Canterbury Tales, but he was translating things. He was translating things for his children. He was like expanding poetry. People say he like popularised the English verse because most people back then would write in French or Latin or something to sound more important, but he wrote in English, which we'll hear more about later. Yes, but today, because we don't have time for all that, we're just going to focus on the Canterbury Tales. Basically, that's just a group of pilgrims travelling from London to Canterbury, and they had this great idea of doing a storytelling competition. So they're each supposed to tell, I think, 2 stories on the way there and 2 on the way back, which would have been about 120 stories. He didn't actually manage to finish that, luckily. No, I'm kidding. But the prize was a free meal, so it was very serious, you know. Maybe that was before he got his gallon of wine a day. Because,
and where are they going from and to?
They're going from London to Canterbury. That's why it's Canterbury Tales.
Why Canterbury?
St Thomas Becket's shrine. Yeah.
We're going from an actual inn that existed called the Tabard, and you can go to Southwark and visit where it was today. It's very near the Globe, in fact.
I used to live around the corner from that. And there's a pub near there. All the streets in that area are called like. I lived on Law Street because there's a man of law in the Canterbury Tales. All the streets around that area are named after different characters from the Canterbury Tales. And there's a pub called the Royal Oak, where their upstairs room is entirely decorated with scenes from the Canterbury Tales. So it's still this bit of sort of London literary history that carries on.
That's so lovely.
That sounds very terrible.
When I was like researching it over the summer, I found that there's all these websites where you can do the pilgrimage and they lay it out for you. I mean, they in the website they jazz it up a bit, but I mean it's like along motorways and stuff, so it's not so like romantic. But
yeah. But like,
I think it takes about 12 days.
Oh,
I think we should do it. But
Not if it's along a motorway.
I know some of it looks nice, and then some of it is like through like a bit.
if you do Duke of Edinburgh, I'm sure you'll develop the skills you need.
Pilgrim's Way is still there.
to do this.
The
Good plan.
proper Pilgrim's Way is actually from Winchester to Canterbury.
Does it stop at some other ones along the way?
Oh yeah, it stops at lots of shrines along the way, but that's the big one, and that goes along the Downs.
Oh, nice.
So
Litsoc trip.
you could do it.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You could do it every
Your
year.
question.
12-day camping.
Oh yeah, go on. That's fine.
12-day camping with Litsoc.
Yeah,
Miss Huntley, are you up for that?
Camping, no way.
I don't think we would all survive that.
Maybe.
Glamping. Oh, I'm up for
You can
glamping.
sleep in my camper van.
we can all get in your camper van.
Yeah.
Camper van.
The trailer needs an ox.
Right, so how are we starting?
Okay, so now we're going to have a bit of an excerpt from English. So if you look at it on the page, can I borrow it?
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone can see, but it looks a bit weird because it's written in, was it Middle English?
It's actually quite. Have you ever volunteered to try and read it?
No.
Can I do
Yeah.
it?
No.
Here we go.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Here we
Okay,
go.
wait, can I explain it?
No. It's written in Middle English.
Annabelle, you have a go.
Have a go.
Have a go. Go on.
Oh no!
Annabelle, you'll be great.
Where am I going from?
Where's she going from? She wants to know.
In general
just
prologue.
general prologue.
One that it. I can't
Go on.
You can pass it back if you want.
One that April with his short
Shores
suit, the drought of March hath pierced to thy root.
You have to sound the last E.
Oh,
Yeah, you pronounce
rooty,
everything. Yeah.
and bathed every venny in sweet liquor, with one Vetsurus eke with his sweets. Zephyrus eke with his sweet breath, inspired hath in every holt and heath.
I think that's a good enough sort of flavour there.
Thank you.
How much of it did you feel you understood was going on there?
Well, no.
What month is it when they set out?
April. Oh wait, it was April.
It's
Yeah.
in-
Yeah, April.
How do you find reading it?
A bit hard because
So-
it was old.
So the reason for it is because this this is written before a lot of the English language started to become standardised by the printing process. Or are you going to go on to this bit later? Or?
Yeah, I'm gonna. You don't worry. I'll let you speak.
Okay, there's a number of reasons why Chaucer is as famous, often considered to be like the father of English literature, and it really is just because when the first printer in Britain, William Caxton, was printing in the 1470s, so about 75 years after Chaucer died, he picked things like the Legends of King Arthur and the Canterbury Tales as the things he wanted to publish. So at a time when there were no books, like there were scrolls that had been handwritten, but the first time when printing came in, Chaucer was one of the first English writers to be printed, and that's almost like that's where the journey of English literature printed in English really sort of starts off. But the reason why it's Middle English and it seems so removed from how we speak today is because it had never been written down before, and people, over time, as more and more printing has happened, language has standardised, and you've got more literacy, and you've got more people using the language, and so it has become, it's morphed over the course of several hundred years into the language we have today. Yeah.
Why did printing standardise English spelling?
Because there were multiple dialects throughout the UK, and so the very first printer was from Kent, William Caxton, and so he actually explains in his foreword to printing an English version of the Aeneid, he explains, I can't write in everyone's dialect, and he tells a little story which is known as Caxton's Eggs, or Caxton's Eggies, where he explains that just if you go a little bit down the road, if you go a little bit down the river, even in London into Kent, sometimes some villages people say eggs or eggies, and then you go a little bit further and some people say iron, which is actually a German word. So even something as simple as the word egg, about 50 miles apart, was pronounced totally different. Not even pronounced, it was just a different word. Eggies and iron. And so he explains, I cannot print in everyone's language, so I'll just print in mine. And the fact that he was literally the owner of the means of production, he owned the printing press, he was printing, that if people were going to read, they had to read in the Kent dialect, and then that dialect swept through the nation. Every literate person was reading and writing, and then eventually speaking in a southeast dialect, and that's how it starts to standardise.
That's really cool. Okay. Oh, wait, one sec. So, Mr. Sebastian's going to read a few of the bits of the prologue now. So I'd like everyone to really pay attention, because some of the bits he reads we're going to come back to later, but for the full tale. So the way the Canterbury Tales works is it goes through all the characters in the prologue, all the ones who are going on the pilgrimage, and then later we hear their story. So you kind of have an idea what they're like and what story they might tell. So really pay attention, because I know it sounds weird, but I'm sure there's a lot you can get out of it if you concentrate. And yes, and then you're going to talk about the play.
Yeah,
Should we switch places?
I'll take it from here, it's fine. So something to bear in mind about the Canterbury Tales, it is not a novel, it's not a play, and it's not really a collection of poetry. There's no other text that's really quite like it. So it starts off with a general prologue, introduces the characters, and then each character starts to tell their own tale. And those tales sometimes have banter between the characters in a prologue or in an epilogue. So it's it's really one of the most unusually, almost modernist texts of its not of its time, but of history, of English literature history, which is it constantly refuses to be, is it poetry, is it theatre, is it a novel? It's everything all at once, and it's very much its own thing. It's one of those idiosyncratic texts that I know. So I'm going to read it for you, and we'll see how we do. So this is just the writer introducing that pilgrims at this time of year, in April, like to go on pilgrimages. So here's how it goes. One that April, with his shore suitor, the drocht of March hath persed to the route, and bathed every vein in switch liquor, of which virtue engendered is the floor. One Zafras eke with his sweete breath, inspired hath in every holt and heath, the tundra croppes, and the younge son hath in the ram his halfe cosse run, and smaller fowles maken melodie, that slepen al nicht with open ye. So pricketh him in nature in here courages, than longen folk to go on pilgrimages and palmares, for to second strongest thrones, to fairen the halways, couthins, tundri londes,
And specially from every shearer's ende of England to Canterbury they wende, the holy blissful martyr for to seek, that him hath holpen one that they were seek. So this is people going on a pilgrimage to Canterbury to get spiritual healing. So you touch the relic of the dead martyred Saint Thomas Becket, and then you get some sort of healing power off this. This is obviously a time long before penicillin. Back to you.
Yeah. How do you guys find that? Do you understand it?
Sounds like a different language.
Kind of sounds
Yeah.
like Danish, like let's go to mountains.
That's Danish, is it?
That's exactly
famously
how
flat
every
country.
single Danish person speaks all the time.
That's so true.
No, but you get what I mean though. Like it sounds like you're
So-
about to yodel.
It's got a
So
good rhythm.
what language?
Mountain yodel.
What languages? So we're getting basically Scandinavian languages are in there. Yeah, so we're getting that. Any other languages you felt were in there?
I thought like a little bit of Italian, Latin was in there.
Yeah, Latin, Italian, French as well in there as well. So bear in mind, England by this point was invaded by the Vikings in the 10th century, where Scandinavian languages came over. Obviously, there's a bedrock of Anglo-Saxon languages, so Northern European languages working already in this country. Then you've got, and then you've got the William the Conqueror comes over 1066, and for 300 years the aristocracy are speaking French. Something that I find fascinating about Chaucer is he survived the plague. He lived through about 15 years of plague. And that's part of the reason why he grew to be so significant, is everyone was dying around him, and he was someone who could speak multiple languages, and so he was always a reliable person because he could speak French to the aristocracy and he could speak English to the middle and working classes. So he was a very well networked individual. Yeah.
How was he travelling and learning in the play?
London has for 2,000 years been like one of the centres of the world, and so there would be people coming over, trade coming over from all over the Middle East and the Mediterranean coming into London. So we don't know, he may have made it to Italy where he would have learned Italian. He may have just worked with people with trade coming from Italy, and that's how he learned Italian here.
No, he did go to Italy on diplomatic missions
Okay.
for the king.
Maybe.
Certainly to France and to Italy. He'd been in France for the war, and that's when he got captured, had to be ransomed, and he was ransomed.
£16.
So
£16.
That's a lot of money.
yeah,
That was a lot of money back
a
then.
lot of money.
Apparently.
That's like 3 Sainsbury's meal deals.
Yeah, you can't even buy a chocolate bar for that anymore. Anyway. Should we do the Knight's Tale now?
Do the Knight's Tale.
Oh, no, not Tale, sorry.
Yeah.
The Knight in the prologue.
Oh, the Knight's Prologue.
Yeah, I've post-it
Yeah.
marked it. So guys, listen because we're going to do the Tale later.
Okay, so the knight. This is a time when the knight represents chivalry, and he
Not
represents
this one.
this knight is. You'll notice there's references to him having like rusted armor. He's been on crusades. He's an older man, and he possibly represents this type of like this older type of medieval masculinity is perhaps seen as maybe old-fashioned now. So here he is. He's the highest status male character here. A Knicht. Oh, by the way, knight is in a knight in shining armor. Knicht. That's why it's spelled Knight.
I don't know why, that's just really funny to me.
A Knicht there was, and that a worthy man, that fro the time that he first began to reason out, he loved chivalry, truth and honour, freedom and courtesy. Full worthy was he in his lord's wear, and thereto had he ridden no man frere. He'd ridden no further than any other man. As thereto had ridden no man fairer, as well in Christendom as in heathenness, and every honoured for his worthiness. At Alessandra he was one, it was one. Full oft time he had the board begun above an all nations in Prusse. In lettre had he revised, and in ruse. No Christian man so oft of his degree in Gernade at the siege had he be of Algiers and ridden in Belmarie. Do I keep going?
No, sorry. I just couldn't. That was very nice.
That's so funny.
Every single one of them are massacred.
Yes, so yeah, he's been involved in sieges, massacres. He's been involved in a lot of brutal conflict.
Maybe we should do like a little bit of the other ones. So now we're going to do... Which one is it? I think it's the merchant.
Merchant? Oh, yeah, okay, this guy's good. Actually, I might find... All right, here we go. Right, the merchant. A merchant, so this is a trader, a businessman. A merchant that was there with forked beard. In motley, and he on horse he sat. Upon his head he had a Flanderish beaver hat. His booties clasped fair and fetishly. His reasons he spake full solemnly. Sowing alway the increases of his winning. He would the sea were kept for anything betwixt Middleburg and Orwell. Well could he in a shone shield sell. This worthy man full well his wit beset. There was no white that he was in debt. So no person knew. There was no white. No person knew that he was in debt. So he's described as wearing a beaver hat, a Flanders hat, like leather, all sorts of wonderful apparel, and yet no one would have known he is in tremendous amounts of debt. There was no white that he was in debt. So estately was he of his governance with his bargainies and with his cheviansons. Forsooth he was a worthy man withal, but sooth saying, I nout how men him call. So in spite of all of this, the narrator doesn't know what his name is. It's a really weird thing. The narrator isn't an omniscient narrator. The narrator introduces all these different characters and yet says, I don't know, I didn't get their name. I don't know who they are. It's really, really strange. Yeah.
What type of narrator would you call that?
Just a third-person narrator? Third-person restricted.
Perspective.
Exactly.
The weird thing is that it's Chaucer, but he's on the pilgrimage, but he's not the Chaucer of the writer of the tales.
Yeah.
He's very timid. He presents himself as very timid and very boring, and his tale is so boring that the pilgrims go, no, we don't want to hear any more. So he has to start a different tale, and that's less boring.
Yeah, so the writer, or a fictionalized version of the writer, goes on the pilgrimage with all of these people. First of all, the reason why you go on a pilgrimage with other people is because of bandits. You wouldn't just go, just you and your friends. You want to be in a nice big group of maybe 30 people, so that you've got enough people, enough men, and enough horses to make sure that everyone is safe on the journey all the way there. And yeah, Chaucer the writer goes along with them.
Chaucer got robbed on Gad's Hill.
Did he?
He knows what it's
Like
like
how?
to not have enough security.
But like a
Like how?
self-insult and you're not even making yourself look good.
Can you put that on?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, it's a satire. It's funny.
Okay, and now we have the wife of Bath.
Wife of Bath tale. So the wife of Bath is an unusual character
Just do like a
because...
small bit because it's really long. No, I just mean hers.
Keep it
is
brief, Mr.
particularly
Sebastian.
long,
So the wife of Bath is an unusual character because she is she's married 5 times and her husbands keep dying, so she keeps inheriting their money. And so she has grown to become this independently wealthy woman. And so she has a license to speak her mind because she's independent. She's been on multiple pilgrimages, even to the Holy Land, so she's unimpeachable, and so she's allowed by many characters to speak her mind, have her opinion, and she's respected because she's been married, she's inherited money, her husbands have died, she is entirely in control of her life. A really interesting character.
Apart from Jenkin, of course,
Jenkin.
the current husband.
Oh yes, yeah, Jenkin's still around. So first of all, wife in Middle English is pronounced weef. There was a good weef there of beside Bath, and she was some deal deef, and that was scath. It was a shame. Of cloth making, she had a switcher haunt. She passed him of Ypres and of Gaunt. In all the parish weef, ne'er was there none that to the offering before her should be gone. And if there did, certain so ruth was she, that was she out of all charity. Is that enough?
Yeah. That was really good. Can you talk a bit about the play you
All right,
produced? Because it's really interesting.
So this is me in a former life. I used to work in theatre, and I was a director, and I worked with a producer, and we produced a sort of folk musical version of the Canterbury Tales, and it went really well. It never got to the West End, unfortunately, but it went on a national tour and was at the Southwark Playhouse for a while, and then we nearly went to the West End, but there were issues with insurance, and basically we ran the risk of if the play didn't make money, we wouldn't be able to pay the actors, and we didn't think that was fair for obvious reasons. So it was we were very happy with its success. But the way we structured the play was the play was set after the Canterbury Tales is written, and Harry Bailey, the innkeeper who's there at the start of the whole text and goes with all the pilgrims on their pilgrimage, he has come back to his the Tabard Inn, and he set up a show in his inn. And so he speaks the bit I read earlier, the Juan April Hishora Sutta. He introduces the audience, and he basically says, I'm going to take you on a pilgrimage with my bar staff, and we're going to put on all the different tales that we heard along the way. And so each character was basically a barman or barmaid in this medieval tavern, and they would take it in turns. They put on a hat, or they put on some garment or whatever, and they would take it in turns to introduce their tale and then tell their tale. But what made it even better was they were all multi-instrumentalists, and so there was music throughout the whole thing. So you'd have a violinist who then pass the violin to someone else who then keep playing it, and they pick up like an oboe and start playing. So it was just very, very beautifully like musical production. And then we did 7 tales, and in between each tale we did other traditional folk songs as well. And we did many different versions of it. We did one version in the round where there was a bar, so the audience could come up and get beer in tankards or mulled wine at any point in the whole show. And the audience sat on hay bales. And then when it went on tour, it was in Proscenium Arch theatres. And so we had to get rid of the bar. But it was tons of fun. It was done with a balance of Middle English and Modern English. And it was basically aimed very much at almost like a literary panto level of like, this is a fun night out, you're going to have a great time, but it is going to be quite heavy on the literature. And we had some really wonderful times with that show.
That's cool. But you said you had to like change it a bit to make it.
Oh yeah, so they changed it. So the sexual politics of the play of the original text are not particularly modern. So there are some characters where, so for example, in the Miller's Tale, or is it the Reeves Tale? In the Reeves Tale, he tells a story about these 2 cheeky students who find themselves invited into a miller's house at night, and then while everyone's asleep, the 2 cheeky students sleep with the daughter and the mother, the daughter and the wife, in order to humiliate the miller. Now, that's not a very funny joke these days, because in the text, the daughter and the wife are not aware of what's going on. So essentially, they're sexually assaulted. But in our version, you can't really have like an all singing, all dancing, fun musical based around that. And so instead, we used a lot of sort of looks between the actors, making sure that the women were the ones it was the female characters who were in control of any kind of romance. So the female characters weren't being surprised by male characters. It was the female characters very much in control of that. So that was a little bit of a nightmare. We had to sort of like tiptoe around, like, how do we try and stay as faithful to the actual text in terms of the lines that are being read, but then actually still keep the comedy, not suddenly turn a very funny moment into quite a horrific, brutal moment. So that was one of the many challenges about how do you modernise Chaucer without losing the authenticity of Chaucer.
That's so interesting, guys. It just proves that it's still relevant. Anyway, I think we should probably go to our first destination now. Mm-hmm. Should we stop the camera and then we can move it? Or...
We can stop the camera if you want to, or we can just carry it over, I think. Are you okay to carry it over? Camera. You okay to carry it over? Okay. Yeah, just be careful.
I have to duck
out. Go.
Yeah, I've got to go pick up Luke.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Miss Huntley, can you bring your flower? I'm bringing my flower.
Do we need to bring anything else other than ourselves and our hats and whatnot?
Yes, of course you have to bring a scarf. Okay. Should we bring Paddington? Can you bring Paddington?
Yeah, we'll bring Paddington. Marianne, do you want to take Paddington?
Okay. Paddington, you're coming with me.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna fit. Gonna fit.
Are we ready?
Sorry at home for the disorientation.
Okay. So where are we going? Sorry.
Okay, lead on.
It used to be right at the London Bridge, under the railway arches. And so
apologies for the disorientation at home.
Performing there was really good because it was a medieval show under the...
The first tale is the nice tale. I'm going to need some volunteers. Miss Huntley's already volunteered.
Actually.
Okay, later. Okay, let me explain the context first. Sorry. So, The Knight's Tale, just to set the scene. It's set in Greece, in Athens, This is Athens under the rule of Theseus. And there's a battle that goes on. But who wants to be
Me.
a soldier? Okay.
Sorry, Paddington.
Yay! Okay, we have a battle that goes on, and then we have 2 remaining soldiers who survived the battle. Okay, so we have Palamon and Arcite fight amongst themselves. Who's which one?
Oh wait, no, sorry. I thought you
You should
meant
have said
actually
I
fight.
brought the swords.
I want to be
Oh,
Paddington.
yeah.
Never mind, never mind.
Arcite.
Lovely.
Great. Okay. So Theseus.
These are interesting.
They're meant for your feet, but I can't put them over.
They're like boxing gloves to fight Marianne.
Yeah.
Right, have a fight then.
Anyway, so because everyone was
And
related
who's
back then,
Theseus?
they're brothers. So
Are you Theseus?
who wants to be Theseus?
I'll be Theseus.
Come on.
Maybe bring Paddington. I feel like Theseus
Oh,
is better.
Paddington.
Okay. So Theseus, you've got to imprison these 2 in a tower.
Please.
Oh, you're going in the tower now.
Oh no. This is going to be the
Who wants to be the
Very much
tower?
for a
That would be the tower. Okay.
Do we need us?
Has she been defeated? Theseus has defeated you in battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Theseus is
Damn
very
it.
happy right now.
And
So,
you should be compatriots, shouldn't you? But
Miss Huntley, you're is it Emily?
Emily.
Emily. That's how you
Emily.
say it. It's not spelled like that because it's Chaucer. But anyway, so you're both in the tower, you two, and you see the beautiful Emily.
Oh my god, she's so pretty.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's love at first sight. Or
Love at first sight.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Look at
Powerful.
Emily's
Oh wow.
in the garden making flower garlands
absolutely.
and putting them in her hair.
Yes, put them in my hair. Yes.
To honour May because everyone loves May.
I'm not aware of you.
Yes, you guys are watching Creeps. Anyway, and you both fall in love with her, obviously.
Yeah.
You can't help yourself. Okay. One day, Arcite, I can't remember who it was. You're free. Go.
Yes.
No.
Oh no, you're free.
Wow,
Okay.
big celebration.
It's a prison
But
exchange.
there's a condition. Banishment.
Yeah,
So-
banishment
What?
forever.
So you don't come
Goodbye.
past that line, okay?
Goodbye.
Say this.
Bye. It's fine. I still get to
so
look at the
you, but exactly. You
Say
But
it.
Emily's still not aware of you.
So Palamon is jealous of you because he thinks you're going to come back and invade, and you can take Emily. And you're obviously jealous because you get to see Emily every single day.
Yeah.
So I thought this is the point in the story where the knight says, "Who's worse off?" So I thought we could do a little poll. Who thinks? Because audience participation is amazing.
Yes, who is worse off?
Who's worse off? Who
It's a
thinks?
philosophical question.
Arcite is worse off. Worse off. Put your hand up.
Don't.
No. What's your reasoning,
Because
guys?
Rhea, why? Why is he
Because,
worse off?
like, I can't really see anyone.
Yes, he's banished.
Anything.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Who thinks Palamon's worse off?
Palamon does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
He's imprisoned.
Yeah, that was
That's
also a very good
amazing.
point. A very good point.
this is true.
Okay, we'll see what happens next. Okay, Arcite, you're going to need a disguise. Do you want to disguise as the bear?
Wow, he's snood
You
on.
look totally different. Okay.
oh yeah, I can put the snood on.
Yeah, you can put your snood
yeah.
on.
Oh, we can actually give you that. Put that on your shoulder if you're pirate.
Lovely.
There you go.
That's brilliant. Okay, Arcite, you're going to sneak back
Oh,
into
man.
the
You're
city.
sneaking back into the kingdom.
Be cautious.
No.
But except you've grown so frail with love sickness that you're totally unrecognisable, and you've grown a parrot, so no one's going to know where you are. You're wandering around the woods lamenting your fate, and then by chance, who escaped that day?
Me!
No! Get in the woods, Palamon.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So
Sorry.
is it going to be
power is
a
sort of
lovely
waning.
brotherly reunion?
But I'm not his brother anymore. I'm this.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Palamon recognises your moaning. Because,
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So then, instead of a hug, you challenge each other to a duel. To symbolise this, something more tense than a real fight. Noughts and crosses on the board.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Okay.
This is tense.
And also, guys, whoever put your hand up for Palamon, you've got to support Palamon. Tell Marianne where to go. Whoever put your hand up for Arcite. You know,
Can I go first?
What?
Sure.
Get the
I think we've got
yeah,
paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Put
Okay.
it in the middle.
Support your person that you're
Ooh,
sympathising with.
camera.
Your noughts. Your noughts.
Oh, no one's across this road.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that.
Arcite's lost his brain.
Well, banishment can do stuff to me.
Good point. He's grown a parrot.
No, go here, go here, go here.
No,
Go
no,
here,
no,
go here.
no, then you can't lose.
Oh,
Feel free to
no.
support your person, remember?
Oh.
Yeah, nah.
Do you remember who you supported?
Can't switch sides.
You can't switch. You can't.
You can't win. You
could
can't
have it
win.
there,
I am
Tic-tac-toe has... That's rude.
It's the name of the game.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay.
Now what? So does
Where's
he get
Theseus?
Poodles and Emily?
No, not yet.
Where's they have a big joust, don't
I
they?
thought you were going to draw because no one ever wins. But anyway. I thought that was really clever. Anyway, where's Theseus?
Theseus, where are you?
Theseus?
Oh,
you're
I'm
here.
Yeah, wait,
Brilliant.
wait.
Theseus.
Okay, what are you doing?
Theseus,
Okay, so
in the
if
middle.
we did draw in a world where I'm not elite at noughts and crosses.
Anyway,
Oh,
you
yeah.
never finished because Theseus interrupted you
Oh yeah.
No.
in the middle of the duel and said, "Let's do another one, but later."
Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay.
Let's do another one, but later.
Yeah. So they plan a tournament, which is a bit more important than a duel. In a few months' time, and they're like training, they're preparing,
Gonna get his trains.
getting to the
Yeah,
gym.
you
you know.
training
Just
your
sits
bot.
up to
Yeah.
Starters.
If you want to get more into this,
So
it's a
fly,
very good
parrot,
film.
fly.
You got to play again,
Nice
guys,
Tale.
because you're good.
Yes.
Another
You wanna
tournament.
play again?
Play
Yeah,
again.
nice tale.
Oh my lord.
I'm sorry, it's not me, it's Theseus.
Fine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say not big. This
You're
is more.
ruining my board.
Yeah, I'm not big this.
I
This
kind
is
of
to the
did
death.
it quite big the first time because I thought we
This
were
one
going
is
to
to
do
the
this again.
death.
You
To
thought
the
that was
death.
To the death.
The
Yeah,
stakes
this-
are high.
Oh my lord. Guys,
Yes.
I think in the middle.
No.
Anyway, while this is going on,
That's
they're all
nice.
praying to different gods. So Palamon prays to Venus, Emily plays to Diana, and Arcite plays to Mars. So anyone that does Catholics, you can sort of understand why. Josie, can you explain what's the importance of them praying to these different gods?
Well, I was more caught up by the fact that we're so much meant to be in Athens and they're the Roman name.
It's a tar.
It's
It's
Chaucer.
a time.
Wow, okay, this time it works. Quickly, Josie's going to explain the symbolism of some of the gods. So Palamon, you've prayed to Venus.
Oh,
So
love her.
Venus is goddess
Who am I? Who do I play?
love and beauty.
Yeah.
It's for you,
That sort
Emily.
of stuff.
Because you want the gut, right?
Yeah,
And then Arcite, you're praying to Mars. Who's
so Mars is god of
The
war.
war god.
Because in a battle you want
Wait, why
physical
why
strength.
doesn't he pray to Ares? Because like
No,
That's
it's
the same
god.
one. Same one.
Same
Well,
one.
There's Roman Greek.
Roman,
Roman
they're doing
Greek.
Roman. But this is in
That's a
Greek.
good point, but
No, this is in England.
if only we could ask
Okay,
Chaucer.
okay, focus,
Anyway.
focus.
And then-
Chaucer didn't know all the Greek names.
Oh.
Real.
She make up some names.
And then Emily plays to Diana for chastity. But then she says, if I can't have that, I'll just have the better man. Which is fair enough. Okay. And then, guys, lots of events happen very, very, very quickly. So be prepared to act this out. Okay.
Yes.
Palamon's
Twist.
wounded. Palamon's wounded.
Oh my god, you're wounded.
Arcite is declared the winner. Yeah! And then Arcite's horse spooks, wherever Paddington is. Arcite falls off the horse. Arcite's carried away.
You're carried away.
Arcite dies.
No, you die.
As Arcite's dying,
But
you forgive your brother
Your brother.
and declare Palamon the winner.
Do you need CPR?
It's too late. Anyway,
It's too late, you're dead. Okay.
what do you guys think? Was this fair?
So
Was this
who's
you were
wor-
expecting?
Is it fair?
Do you think it's fair?
Plot twist.
Well,
Really?
I'm forgiven, so I
Yeah.
feel it's very fair. Especially because I'm the
Winner
one who
takes
didn't
all,
die.
basically.
I mean-
Winner takes all.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Arcite
Yeah.
prayed to Mars, and
Yeah.
Arcite did win
All's
the
fair in
contest.
love and war, I guess.
Can I rise from the grave?
You
Yes.
may rise from
Thank
the
you,
grave.
actors.
Well done, everyone. Good job.
And now we've got to keep moving, guys.
Okay,
Pilgrimage
moving
Pilgrimage,
on.
right,
Bye.
Don't forget Paddington.
Carrot.
Thank you, Josie, for being a roving camera person.
You have glassed out.
Oh, thank you, Frida.
It's okay.
What are we doing now? We're 10 minutes left.
Let's go. We can go a bit over 5 o'clock if you want, Anna. It's fine.
Oh, wait, we can just I don't know why.
No, don't worry, Tommy. They've mostly got headphones in.
Which one is it now?
The Merchant's Tale. You guys remember?
Merchant's Tale, right.
We read a bit of The Merchant earlier. He was the one with the forked beard.
Oh yes.
The one who's in debt.
Yes. Anyway, so I thought to symbolise kind of the confusion of Chaucer and the fact that all the manuscripts were discovered in different orders, so no one really knows what order the tales go in. You could try and construct this tale from beginning to end.
Lord.
There's quite a lot of them, but I think it should make logical sense if you all work together.
Lay them all out then.
Okay,
So everyone takes some.
I almost saw it. Guys, what if we all take one, read it out, and then like put it in the position we
No, we
think?
don't have time for that. We don't have time.
What?
Good idea, but like. Just go. Chaos.
This is the end because it says
I
happily
like
ever
the- I
after.
like the-
Mine says may fall in love, so this might be towards the middle because like he may have fallen in love.
I apologise.
Oh wait, this is
Okay,
May.
end is January.
And if you need help, you know,
Okay,
I've got your number.
Oh, this is definitely the beginning.
This is the beginning.
You need to wear that every day.
No, all of them are the beginnings of the paper.
Okay, I feel like that
Right,
was
shall I give you the
quite-
first one?
quite high. I
This
feel like
one
that
is-
one. I feel like that one's the first one. And I feel
Yeah,
like
that's
January wants a wife.
There's a May that falls
No,
in
it
love.
says a new
Someone
wife.
falls
That
in
means
love.
Okay,
that's
so
the first
new
one.
wife. That's the first one, and then I think because that it consults his brothers.
Sorry, can I keep it like this? I can't.
January marries a much. Then he may fall in love, and then he marries.
So no. So then I think it's January then marries May.
Oh, and then
fall in love.
and then he builds a garden for May.
love with a square thing.
With
Like a 7-year-old.
this is the affair. Oh, so it's probably like this.
And then, how is he blind now?
Oh no.
Why is he blind?
Maybe he can't see.
Please who impressed me now watching
Oh, so that's there. More Greek gods.
I'm watching the adultery.
Merchant.
That could really go anywhere, but I feel it's probably going to go back
When
here.
does January discover the
They
affair?
persuaded there were no affair.
No, but January has to witness the affair before May.
Maybe he's blind.
No,
Like,
so it's that way.
not really blind, but like he.
Oh wait,
partially
it's that way.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like he's struck blind before. Yeah.
Witnesses the affair.
Wait, what?
When he witnesses the affair.
No, this is probably after because he sees it.
But then it must be struck blind
There.
surely.
Yeah.
Wait,
But I don't know why he'd be struck blind then.
What is that?
But
No, this is at the end because it's the end of the story.
Oh yeah, he's apologising.
Okay, this
No,
is
but
No,
he's
but that's the end of the paper.
So a lot of these are the beginning of the
those
papers.
don't properly line up.
Okay, let's
they
read
kind
it
of do,
properly.
they kind of do.
January wants a new wife. January consults advice of his bros, place bow, and jesterness. January marries a much younger woman, May. January builds a garden for May to do things that were not done in bed. May falls in love with Squire Damien. Damien and May conduct their affair in the garden while January is there. What's that noise? January witnesses the affair. WTF.
That's not very Lit Soc appropriate.
It's not. Chaucer is so lewd. It's not my fault.
Pluto and Prospera are watching the adultery. May persuade Jay that there was no affair.
I drew the
No,
tree.
baby, you're just so confused. January is struck blind. Pluto gives January his sight back, and Proserpina gives May the ability to talk her way out of the situation. Merchant apologizes.
Wait,
for
no,
losing-
surely that would be down here then.
Yeah,
because if she
after
managed
the
to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merchant apologizes for the lewdness of the story. May and January live happily ever after, though it was implied that adultery will continue. Ha 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 ha.
What? How much? How much do we get right? How much do we get right?
Okay, it was almost all right, except for he struck blind earlier, so he doesn't actually see the affair, and that's why he doesn't really know what's going on. Yeah, later. Yeah, but then
The pear tree.
he doesn't see it because he's blind at that point, and then his sight is brought back. So that's why he's blind earlier. And then also the merchant apologises for the lewdness of the story with the pear tree at that moment, because very explicit.
Rudest lines in English.
So rude. Why are we doing this? Anyway.
You tell us, Anna.
But still, that was actually really good.
Because it's got a combination of, like, the Knight's Tale, it's got a combination of myth from elsewhere and British stories too, which is what he's so brilliant at.
Which story this one or the next one?
The ninth one. There's a bit more drama.
Oh no, this has got plenty of drama.
This is
I think
drama.
It's a bit censored, guys.
It's a bit inappropriate.
This is the censored version.
I think it's funny.
This is the censored
Also,
version.
what happens
Wait, so
is
it's-
May takes her sexual life into her own hands, and but one of the other funniest things is that Damien sends her this note, and then she drops it in the privy.
What's the privy?
The loo.
The old
Yeah.
Like the drop hole.
So that nobody knows.
like festival.
Not festival.
See, why would someone do that?
Okay, moving on then. Where we go next?
But your husband is blind.
This one? This table?
Not blind until later, and then he gains his
That's right.
Yeah. Ever heard?
Okay,
This
now
one, yeah?
we've got the wife of Bath. Who remembers the wife of Bath from the prologue?
Oh yeah, the rich one.
The one with lots of
The
husbands.
rich one.
Oh
Whose
yeah, the one
husbands kept
whose husbands all died.
Yeah.
Very good insurance
The
policies.
rich husbands who kept dying
So
under unforeseen
But
circumstances.
also, she's an independent businesswoman. She has her own business. She makes
Business of killing husbands.
She makes
Cloth.
Oh.
That's so.
But is it implied that she kills her husbands?
Yeah.
Because 5
No.
husbands is a
No,
lot.
it's
Get
not,
ideas,
no.
okay? So
She marries old men because they're wealthy and they fancy her.
And then they
of course
die.
and she argues that
I wonder why.
Not a problem. I'm sure you can work out.
Didn't like a singer do that, where she married someone like really, really old, and then they died?
Who's?
Who was like really, really rich?
That sounds like a lot of people.
anyway, so maybe from her story, I
So
wonder
what are
if
we doing?
you'll pick up some of those themes about equality and criticising medieval practices towards women. Maybe not though. Anyway, so I'm going to set the scene. Okay, this is during the reign of King Arthur. There's a knight, Paddington.
Oh.
Actually,
Paddington would never do anything like this.
no, actually no. It's not Paddington. But anyway,
Acting.
yes, he's no. Anyway, so this knight is in trouble. He's facing a sentence of death for the rape of a maiden.
Oh.
But this is during the time of King Arthur. So Queen, is it Guinevere? Guinevere. She steps in and she says, he can be saved from his sentence of death if he discovers what women most desire. So he's
Go on a
like,
pilgrimage.
he goes on his pilgrimage, he goes out of the palace, he asks every woman he can find what they most desire. He's not satisfied with any of the answers. Anyway, now.
This
So
is
now's
a
time
very
for a game.
ancient tale. This is normally associated with Gawain. Over the years, quite often I've told this story in one of my favourite books, The Hawk of May. This is This is also known as the Tale of the Loathly Lady. So go on.
Anyway, so now we're going to play a game. You've heard 2 stories so far.
Yep.
So I wonder if you guys can finish this on your own. And I'm going to set a timer. You know that game where you have to speak without hesitating?
Oh yeah.
Oh my lord.
Because I think you guys, you're pretty good at being pilgrims now. You can tell your own stories.
Yeah.
So who wants to go? Should we do it in groups or just do you want to go in front of everyone? Groups, okay. Should we get in like 3 groups or something like that?
Yeah.
And I don't know, do they want you to time it?
How many people in the group? 1, 2.
Maybe
Bad
we could just
that.
like have us 2 in a group and then another
Right, so
person
make
can
sure
join
that you
in.
tell them what you want them to do.
Okay, choose a volunteer from your group and they have to speak for 30 seconds
Not me.
about
Not me.
where their interpretation
Guys,
of the
well,
story is
you're
going.
gonna-
They can't hesitate, but they can take the story anywhere and see if they're better than
You
the
guys,
others.
I can talk.
Yeah.
What?
Marianne, thank
Yeah,
you.
I
did that for a while.
Okay,
Wait, do you want to go in that group then?
Don't we?
What am I
Three space
doing?
You can, yeah.
Who else wants to go?
We've got 2.
I am confused. What are we doing?
We have to yap for 30
Does the
seconds.
man
Yes.
find out,
About?
or does he not
Anything.
find
You make it up. So
Yeah,
you
you're
tell
telling
them.
the rest of the story. What do you think happened?
Miss
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then Hannah will tell you what really happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who else wants to
Yeah, who
go?
that is.
What's the
Okay.
name
Come on,
of
guys,
this
I'm going to
story?
shine you.
It's not in front of
Well done,
everyone.
Frida. Thank
Okay.
you. Do you want to just come up here? Maybe?
Find some friends to talk to you, and then have get into groups, and then like otherwise you overhear each other. So like, Marianne, you come over here,
Okay.
So I'm here.
and I'm going to start a timer.
So
and
we'll just have 2 versions. Okay.
yeah, we'll have 2 versions at the same time.
So who will go
And
first?
just tell at the same time. So just tell your story how you think it's going to go. 3, 2, 1, go.
So he tells everyone what the story. He asks everyone what they most desire, and they like say lots of. Wait, what? Do I go first?
Sorry, keep going.
And she wants like, and they will all want like jewelry and stuff, but he doesn't really want to like say any of that in court because that kind of like disproves his point more. And then he keeps on asking people, and they keep on giving him the same answer. So he gets really annoyed, and he ends up raping more women. So he has a bigger trial, and then after that, when he goes back, they're like, wait, so no,
Wait, do you want to continue?
I mean, I can.
Have a minute.
Assume in the end, Frida.
Okay, but anyway, what happens in the end is he gets he goes, he dies, yeah, and then all the women that he raped formed a union, and they burned his grave. That's it. Sorry.
That was a great story.
Spicy.
Marianne.
So basically, he goes around and asks all these women, oh my god, what do you desire most? What do you desire most? And one answer stands out above the rest. Garlic bread. garlic bread. But very specifically, one kind of garlic bread from the far off mountains of East Anglia. So he goes on a pilgrimage to these mountains of East Anglia.
Did you say you were doing geography only?
Yeah, managed Denmark as well.
To find the incredible garlic bread that all women desire most in the world, and he goes there and he finds the recipe, and then he brings it back to the court, and then the cook tries to make it, and then it turns out it's crap.
Yeah.
and then he's executed because he did not fulfill his quest. And then it turns out that it was because of all the women that he raped that they went, you know what, we're going to lie to him. All the women in the world decided they were all going to lie to him.
That's quite clever.
And sent him on a pilgrimage to do nothing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Does anyone else want to go? Miss Huntley, I bet you can go.
No, because
Miss
I
Huntley,
know.
You have to wake up, then it's harder. Anyone else want to go? Or should I tell you the real story?
Yes, I know.
Yes, go on.
You guys are so good. Like, honestly, why weren't you there? Like, you would have had the best story. Anyway, born in the wrong century. Anyway, he comes across an old woman outside the castle. Actually, it's 12 young women, but then they disappear and it's just one woman. So she's probably like a witch or something.
lovely.
And then,
yeah, of course she's old, so she's a witch. Yeah,
No, it's because she turned into one woman.
She's under a spell.
because the 12, that's what he thinks. 12 young women disappear, and it's kind of about age, like beauty, those sort of dynamics going on. So she tells him that women most desire sovereignty over their husbands. So he goes back to court and he tells them all this, and all the women are like, "Yeah, you got it. That's right." So he's thinking, "Yes, I'm free." But then the old woman comes back into court, and
a boon to Gawain.
she publicly requests his hand in marriage, and it's a bit embarrassing for him. He can't say no because she's just helped him, so he's got to marry her, even though he finds her pretty unattractive because he thinks he's better than her. She's a bit older than him, and then they have this conversation, and she says, "Well, at least that means I'm not going to be unfaithful towards you because, no one's going to want me or whatever." And then she said, "Would you rather?" This was the first "would you rather." Old and faithful, but beautiful and young, and unfaithful. And he's like,
Possibly unfaithful.
possibly. The potential. And then he's like, he doesn't care at this point. He just says, "It's up to you." But she loves that answer.
Right answer.
Yeah. It's always up to the woman. And then she's so pleased that she turns young and beautiful, and she promises to be faithful forever. So, yeah, that's like a happy ending.
Oh,
You guys
But he
expect-
did rape a woman, so...
Yeah, but he's reformed.
So, where do you guys think the dynamics of
They're all
women's
second
power and
chances.
control come into that?
So
I do love that. For the 1340s, that's quite good.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more progressive, or like it just kind of upholds it because of the ending?
No, I think it is more progressive.
I think you should stop.
She does test
in
it.
her own way. And also it goes with the tale, the teller
Realistic.
as well.
He should still get a sentence though. For okay. Like
Well, he
for
did.
wrong.
He had to go
I know,
round
right?
the whole of Great Britain trying to find.
Garlic. Oh, not garlic.
Yeah, garlic bread were all women really desire. You guys had the best garlic bread.
Okay, I've got a bubble.
Guys, should we go back?
Yes.
I think I desire garlic. Shove it on more.
Let's go.
Much back to Tabard.
I love your background.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We still haven't done this, have we?
Yeah, I know.
Which tale was your favourite?
I really liked the second tale. I really liked the second tale
Oh yeah?
because it had a lot of drama in it, and I loved how it was the uncensored version for Lit Soc, but it was still a lot censored from the actual book.
Yeah, you should
And
definitely read it.
Yeah, and I also have a question: is there like an English version of this book?
They translate
Like,
it.
a new English version.
Yeah. But also you can get like recordings of people reading it out loud, because I always find that like Mr. Sebastian was so good at reading it because he had a lot of practice.
I love his
But
little accent.
yeah. Were you saying mountains or something?
Yeah, a lot more successful than my attempt.
But I feel like that's because he's been doing it for a long time. So like hearing other people do it is also really useful, because it kind of, when you hear it out loud, it sounds similar, versus when you see it on the page, it just looks really weird because they have like all the vowels everywhere. So I think you do get used to it, but at first it's a bit of an adjustment. But yeah, I think the translations are a really good way of getting into it, and especially because like the stories are so much of it, like why we enjoy it.
Shakespeare knew his Chaucer, by the way. He really did.
Was he a big fan?
He, in Henry IV parts 1 and 2 and Henry V, because those are the era that Chaucer was living in, he's taken sort of stories and real stories, or certainly from Chaucer's life. We don't know how he knew them or where they came from, but they might well even be just passed down orally in London and Westminster Abbey. But there's sort of echoes. If you know the plays well and you know the Chaucer, there are echoes. It's really.
I was just thinking what you said about how he was robbed at Gad's Hill. There's a whole scene in Henry IV Part 1 where Hal and his friends rob someone at Gad's Hill. So I wonder if that's related. That's just a theory, but I need to check. It is. Wow, it all connects. Does anyone else have any thoughts? Mr. Humphries, why do you like Chaucer?
Well, I think it was you demonstrated very well because we were able to get into it. The story is in the way that Shakespeare's for all time, so is Chaucer. And just to add to that, we have had modern adaptations. Not so long ago, there was take the Pardoner's Tale as an example, which we haven't talked about today, but there was a version that had Johnny Lee Miller and a couple of other British actors retelling the story in modern times. So yeah,
No Country for Old Men is an adaptation of the Pardoner's
Tale.
Tale.
Absolutely.
Well.
The Cormac McCarthy novel.
Yeah.
So resonates through the ages.
Great.
Transcends with its universality.
Okay.
How about that?
That's brilliant. That's a good way to end it, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you very much.
Wave to the camera.
Thank you.
I'm not clapping myself.
I'll actually wave to the camera, everyone. Bye.
Bye. See you next week.